Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 432nd Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, May 12th, 2022. This is a broadcast of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute Education Department and part of the Public Teachings in English. My name is Rick Crammond, and I'll be a host once again here in these Knowledge Seekers Workshops, and once again, we are fortunate to be joined by Mr. Mehran Keshe of the Keshe Foundation and Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. Mr. Keshe, are you ready to begin today's workshop?
Yes, good morning, good day to you, as usual, wherever and whenever you listen to this series of knowledge seekers of Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute programs and series of teachings. We welcome you back to another, what I call adventurous teaching. As usual, we do not know where we start and we do not know where we finish by the end of the teaching. This is an open-ended teaching cycle. It would not finish as long as the man exists. There is always understanding of the knowledge of the Creator. In past few weeks, I deliberately started teaching in a different direction and in a different way, especially past 3-4 teachings. And there was a reason for it, that to open up a new line of understanding, but deeper understanding of what was taught past 10, 12 years. Some of the knowledge seekers understood and they have managed to grasp the concept of the creation. And it's interesting to see how the next steps build up. How we'll endeavor to take flight. How do we looking to understand the next steps in a flight system? In our laboratory, we are just about to complete the first space reactors completed within the next day or two. But what is interesting for me is not to put these reactors in the enhancement unit, but to assemble these reactors in the space of the lab and see we can create the spacecraft without the craft. The reason for this is very simple. The material we have created as a spaceship is made of carbon and hydrogen. It's very vulnerable to the diversity of the fields of the universe. What happened if we lose the containment? But we have our reactors designed and positioned in a specific way that they will hold. Most probably, the reactors themselves go through the same process, but the fields they have created will maintain position and stability. As I said to some of the knowledge seekers who work with us closely with development and they're aware, we test reactors before we place them. When you look at the enhancement unit in LENS, we created a replication of it in the lab without the physical material of the structure. We are endeavoring to do the same in the next few days, which means we endeavor to create plasma fields without containment. The way Earth works, the way the sun works, it'll be an adventure. If our team manages to complete, I was told yesterday, the first systems are ready to be tested in the environmental laboratory without the enhancement units, and we measure the fields. We have equipment within our labs which were built some 10, 15 years ago by the Swiss scientists for us. If you remember, the one we used for 129 measurements of the field. Then we enter the true space molecule technology. non-tangible physicality, but existence within the field forces of the universe. As our team are putting the last reactors and loading systems and everything else together in the next few days, and we start the first test 2 or 3 weeks ahead of the enhancement unit testing, and we'll see the pitfalls and the things we have to complete, would we achieve the ultimate goal? The facilities we have and we have created allows us to create these, what we call flight system, as you call it, in the present technology aircraft hangars of the airports, but within the labs of the Keshe Foundation, creating the condition of the flight without boundary, creating condition of the pressures of the control without the boundary. What would be the ultimate outcome? When we go into testing these from next week on, to prepare to install them in the enhancement units coming up, would we achieve what we want to achieve before even we reach the target of testing? The process is not to land on the moon. The process is to achieve the strength of understanding of the new dimension. We test and we learn. But the whole idea is we have introduced a new method of flight. We have brought forward a new concept. We have brought the concept of the flight motion the way it's done in the universe. There are no control panels. There are no landing gears. There are no kitchens and there are no toilets and there are no many things in it. But it might not work. It might not fly. But we bring the new concepts of flight into game that the others try to strive to achieve. The working of it is in the dimension of the soul of the man and not in the dimension of physicality of the man. The strength of it comes out of the understanding of the process of what we call interaction of the fields. What is important for us is to understand the teachings, is to understand the teachings of the creation and the created, to understand the process of what we call elevation of the soul of the man. We see the elevation of the soul of physicality of the man. We will see in these processes where many defects within the body of the man will be corrected by the wishes of the soul and soul of physicality. The new enhancement flight system, as we've seen in the intro of today, is a breakthrough. In so many ways, we are used to be in something to be carried to go forward. This time, we are within the fields that we become that containment, where we want to move it to. We are used to get into a car or an aircraft or a rocket to go from A to B. What about when that rocket becomes us? When the aircraft becomes us? We become the carrier of our soul. We decide the destination. We decide the position and position. We have entered the true flight space technology as of this week. Our team tell us some 50 reactors are ready to be tested by next few days. The flight system, the control is all done, ready to go. When we go through the testing, would we feel it when we enter the environment? We will replicate the position and setting up of these reactors in the labs before installing it, because there is nothing outside, there is no control system. We don't have a countdown. We don't have that, we're going to fly this minute. Is when the soul of the pilot matches the soul of the system, and matches with the soul of the control. And then we'll see the bright light. Then we see the flight system. I've been through these systems many times. I have flown across the universe with these systems. I know it works. I'm a passenger of the universe. Now we have to teach them. Your concrete blocks, your stainless steel aircrafts will stand no time in the fields of the universe. You fall off into the depths of the oceans of the fields of the universe when you hit a plasma condition that matches the structure of your material. And this pitfall goes every 100 kilometers or every meter in space. Mankind has to learn the new method of travel without boundary, without what I call position and position in where the matter state exists. Mankind has to learn with a new space technology which we put forward that he travels with the dimension of the soul of the man and not with the physicality of the man. In the next few weeks, we will see a new era in what we call for the man to conquer the space, and that space is a space of his own soul. That within it, we'll find the space of the universe to travel with. Many, many times, many times, I have brought this in different ways of teaching, but now you have to face it. It's there. Technology is developed and is on the table for many of you to develop it further, to understand more knowledge of the creation, to understand more about the space travel in the dimension of the fields and not in the dimension of matter. In so many ways, mankind comes and has come to a new era in space travel. We do not need governments, and we do not need administrations. We do not need military forces, and we do not need what we call astronauts to be trained for years ahead. You lived with that soul. You have trained that soul. So you are the captain. It's you who will decide the position and dimension of the field. My advice has been to our especially testing team, which are putting these together, do not enter the zone. Do not enter to see how it feels. Do not enter to see how it will interact, but allow it to be there. A butterfly flying in that zone can fly the system if its soul matches the soul of the system. You remember in the teachings, I always said, when you look from a distance, you don't still see the drop of a king or a president or a farmer or a dog. They're all shining stars. In a way, we have entered that dimension of understanding the knowledge of the creation that in so many ways we have to come to understand that man, without choosing, but by the grace of the Creator, has entered into the knowledge of the creation on a fast track. And in that process, we have taught enough. And we will see the outcome. We will see the setting up of the first enhancement units for flight by literally walking into it. We are not aware of it till we enter it. And then we come to the position to be start testing. What strange will be for many of you will be that these flight systems are tested in enclosed environments, in the exhibition center, in Arizona Center, within the center. Then you say, how is it going to fly? We have no opening on the roofs. We have no opening in the ceilings of the centers. Ask the question. Then you understand. Did your body move out of the bed last night when you traveled the spaces of the souls and fields of the universe? When you had a chat with your mother or father who died years ago? Did you need to move the body? Or you did the trip, had a chat, had a drink with mom, and a joke with dad, and maybe attended a party with them and came back. The physicality still dead on the bed. Now you understand the implication and application of the new space technology. Do we need to fly the system? Or would you come back and tell us that I went there, seen that, come back, it was as I dreamt? But now this is not the dream, it's the reality, because you can choose between the soul of physicality and the soul of the man where you want to be. When you had a dream that you were in deep space, or you had a dream you were walking on the moon, did you see yourself with a space monkey suit of NASA? When you swim in your dreams the depths of the oceans, do you see yourself wearing and being in what I call the monkey suits of diving suits? The soul travels and takes the condition of the time, place, and position. The new knowledge of space technology will break through in a big way by many of your knowledge seekers. What we show will be the beginning of much more research and development to be done. Much more development to come in by the world scientists and knowledge seekers. World scientists will become knowledge seekers and will see the change and development. As I said, some of you online listening, you know who you are. When you were recommended by the NASA scientists to listen to the teaching of the Keshe Foundation, that's where the future space technology is. Where Chinese scientists already are working and trying to develop the knowledge and the physicality of the spaceship of the Keshe Foundation, where they ask us, can you give us the fuel combination? We've done the rest. In so many ways, the new space technology has started. And in a big way and a small way, in different dimensions, we have seen the totality of the change. We have entered the dimension of the rules and the rules of engagement of the space technology. It is for us to understand it more. It is for us to be able to expand the knowledge of the creation. The test, which will be carried out in the Keshe Foundation laboratories in the next few days and weeks, is not looking to fly and you see the light in the sky. But maybe that light in the sky is transportation of your soul across this planet, going from here to New York to see your brother, and we see that light moving. How many of us will come to see what we call bright light in the skies, where always is soul of someone traveling to somewhere else? How many times we have seen these, what we call ball of lights traveling? Now, maybe for the first time, we understand we saw a soul in transportation. We saw and we have seen it, but we didn't understand it. Now we understand. Now we see that the knowledge of the man has come to the point to understand the space travel instrument And then till the next cycle of the understanding, where the man will learn another cycle of transportation and transmutation in the dimension of higher order than what we teach you today. Man is not ready for that cycle yet. In a way, the whole of universe is not ready for that next step up. The knowledge of creation, the knowledge of the structure of the travel, the spaces of this universe and universe is literally the first step in the knowledge of the travel across the fields of the totality of the created and above. I brought this subject up last week in a very soft way, that if this universe is expanding, what is it expanding into? And if this universe is expanding, what is expanding into? Then we understand there is more beyond. And that knowledge to expand, to cross that knowledge of the travel in the dimension of the universe to the next level will take much longer for man and the citizens of this universe to understand. But there is another level beyond that contains this universe within. The creation of the universe, as we call it, to come to be the creator itself, is contained within the larger structure of the life, with the dimensions that, when it reduces in strength, becomes the strength field of our creator, where there is above the creation and the create, the process of the creation. Then it goes back to the origin question. The origin of magnetic fields. That its interaction has led to what we call God, the creator. That itself is part of the bigger process. How can you be loved if you don't have a lover? How can you be created if there is no creator for you? Who created our creator, what we call the creator? Then we understand the whole process of the creation is never ending. And now, through this process of understanding, we learn to touch the very first field strength beyond the dimension of the matter state and tangibility of the man. Then, as I always draw, in this spiral of knowledge, in this spiral of life, we just entered a new cycle. If this is the totality of the spiral of the creation, including what we call the universe, with the present knowledge we give you, you might be at this level. We need more knowledge to be able to cross our universe, and then to understand more knowledge to be able to work within the totality of the creation, which itself becomes the creator. But today we have started. This week we have started to enter that process. To enter to understand the basics. To enter to understand the depth of the lack of understanding of the totality of the understanding the process of the creation. The interesting point will be when you enter the what we call the fields of enhancement unit with your physicality and your soul, to what extent has your soul has developed, that in which point you enter the position and the cycle of the creation and the universe. You could be a peasant on the mountains of Himalaya, and with the first entry, you reach this. And you could be a king, and you enter the system, and you're not even reached point of start. It does not go by position and possession. It goes by devotion and sincerity and what I call the love of Creator. Then the king will envy the peasant. Then those who reach the higher points will come back and tell us the stories that to us will be unbelievable. But it's the truth that we have to accept. How much more we have to do to reach that point. How much are we devoted to confirmation and completion of this process? And then how much we are committed to bring that change in within us. And we get tested on a daily basis, on an hourly basis, on every minute. I've been tested to my limit in past 6-8 weeks by knowledge seekers. And I still stand firm, understanding that the foundation and change is more important. Some peasant thinking men who think they are in position and control. But we have to see them. We have to understand them. We have to see what they are made of. There are knowledge seekers around amongst you who are the most abusive people to the whole of the foundation work. But you worship them. It was for me to be tested to the ultimate goal, to understand how much I've understood from the human race. Not for them. They were tested and failed miserably, but it's for them to find the position and the time. But it was good because we saw new face. We saw what we need to correct, to elevate for these souls to understand more. For me to understand what I've missed in understanding of the work of this humanity. Always said, you can always dress a monkey in the clothes of a lady, but you never make a lady out of a monkey. You have to understand what is the position and the strength of your soul. When you enter these systems, when you exit the systems, what did you take in and what did you bring out? You go with a wish, I have a cancer, I don't want to have it. But you come out with the worst cancer because you wanted. The truth cannot be hidden from your physicality and your body. You want to die. You see the death as a solution to your misery. And soul of physicality cannot be overruled by the soul of the man. The soul of the man is a provider. It's the soul of physicality who has to understand. You walk into the systems with a body filled with pain and sorrow and all sorts of problems, and you walk out, man with none. Because
kann das sein, dass wir mit Schmerzen und Problemen reingehen und ohne irgendwelche Probleme wieder rauskommen?
We have a translation opening. Please close it.
Yes, just a second, Mr. Kesh. I made a mistake here.
Sem querer o...
Okay, should be okay there now.
Thank you very much. We have to understand this process of change. We have this process, the process of understanding the totality. We still have this problem, Rick. We have to understand we cannot lie to our physical soul. It's no use going into a system with one tumor and coming out with 10, which speeds up the end of the dimension of physicality. I went in there to have none. But in fact, that was my thoughts of what I want to explain. But in reality, I want to die faster because I want to be a passenger in the other side. I don't want to take this physical body with me. Then understand when you go into this new flight system, go with not lying to yourself and wishing something else. Because when you come out, you understand your true wish, not what you wanted to show as is your wish. I made man in the image of myself. I cannot lie to his physicality. How can man do? I explained this to a clergy sometimes ago. Maybe now you might be able to understand. In every physical body, there is a defect. In every physical body, there is a point, the source of a cancer that if you let it grow, can create more problems. The embodiment of the Creator, which includes the man, has been a cancer in the process of the creation. Do you take the cancer out and let it grow bigger? Or do you find a remedy for the cancer to find a space and position that does not become cancer? And this is what the Creator has decided about the cancer of man in the cycle of the creation, that this process of killing, this process of destruction will not expand to the rest of the universe. And this is why the present teachings are going on, the present enlightenment going on, and not teaching. That man comes to understand he is a cancer in the process, in the embodiment of the creation and the Creator, by his ways of destruction, by his ways of mutilation, by his ways of greed. And he needed. The Creator can destroy this planet with a wish. But, as we said, you don't destroy. It will not be got rid of. You have to find a solution, a permanent solution, that the cancer does not grow. And it becomes a useful part of the body of the man. The way we see evolutionary cancer in the body of the man. Because the data, the information is needed, that it does not repeat in the next and allows the evolution. The whole purpose of these teachings is to get rid of this cancer of the body of the man within the structure of the universe by methods of killing and destruction, containment, and now the new understanding. In the coming time, in the coming weeks, when you see the enhancement setups in Arizona, in Tehran, in Austria, they're all within buildings. These are the beds you enter. And when you enter the bed, you fall asleep. The body stays, and within the enhancement centers, the soul finds the path of its freedom. You do not need to fly. You need to understand what was your wish when you entered the flight system. The true wish, and not, I'm going in there to see, oh, I have to be in New York with my lover. You end up in New York with your lover, and they say the guy disappeared. But in your heart, the physicality is here, but the soul and the nation of physicality in New York. You cannot lie to these systems. And you have to find these systems are set to the minimum truth threshold, which means you cannot lie. You walk in and nothing happens, says, oh, it doesn't happen, it's just there. Because you lied to yourself when you entered. When we tested one of these systems for the very first time, a few months ago, we saw the change in the evolution of the soul and physicality within microseconds. Our knowledge seekers who went with it are amongst you and listening. The system went to find the peace, the what we call balance between the soul of the man and the soul of physicality, which control within the heart. And it tunes again, and it tunes again, and it tunes again. And if it does not find a balance, it stops. But if it tunes and finds the position of the balance where the soul of physicality and the soul of the man are in line of the truth to themselves in work, man will be remedied from the troubles of the universe. Man will enter the dimension of seeing what he entered to see, and it was the true wish. I watched when the knowledge seekers went through this process. I stood outside and I watched the physicality and the soul. You are the knowledge seekers amongst you who've been through it. You feel the forces of the creation before you enter the environment of the system. We are not just going for a flight system that will be there. We have simply, in a very simple way, have tested the systems. I hope many of you will find pleasure when you enter the dimensions of the fields of the new space travel, where you shall never lose your spacecraft, where your spacecraft will not dissolve and evolve in different fields of strength, where you are the star, where you are the soul of the travel. And it's you who decides, today when I go to sleep, I want to learn to see my grandpa today, and then tomorrow I want to go for a dinner with a cousin in another point and destination. In a way, you go to a travel agent and you buy a destination ticket. In a way, when you go to sleep, you have never understood that you can destine your travel before you sleep. I'm going to sleep to go to grandpa, to have a dinner and come back. Now we give you that opportunity. We give you that sense that you learn, that you do not need to. In a way, I'm going to a restaurant to have a nice steak, but you can have the image of steak, but no animal shall be killed. You get the feeling of what you want, but no one will be touched. And gradually, even you don't feel the desire to have that steak, but you have, you will, and you go. And this way, no man shall die hungry. No man shall sleep hungry. Today, 15% plus of the children in the United States of America go to sleep hungry, according to the statistics of the United Nations. And 3 to 5% in Africa, children go to sleep hungry. Would we teach this to the American children, that their numbers dwindles to the number of the Africans, that they can dream to go to the most beautiful restaurant or to have what they wish, and they receive it. They receive the energy, they receive the nourishment, they receive the elevation of the soul, but no one shall be killed. No, the grain which made the bone, and no, the burger which the animal had to be killed. In reality, thanks to many knowledge seekers and non-knowledge seekers who are working in the background to bring this technology forth, will bring the change for you. The change is not to come, the change is here. It's for you to come to see. It's for you to come to understand. It's for you to come to extend the knowledge. As you call it, this is an open patent. Patent of the creation. Patent of the creator. Patent of the knowledge of the creation to live and to be part of the living souls of this planet and beyond. Maybe in the next few days, maybe by next teaching, maybe by 6th of June, you will see the show. Many of you will not feel a thing, but many of you will come to see the dream you dreamt. They call it the American dream. We call it the dream of the creation. The dream which comes true instantaneously if you are correct with conduct. The conduct of the wish of the soul and the soul of physicality of the man. Don't go in the system and say, I went with 1 tumor and I came out with 10. Because you lied, you want to see the end of this physicality. It's going through too much torture. I don't want to be there. And some of you go with 10 tumors and come out because your purpose was to enjoy the life and not the tumors which accidentally came on your path. You were there to serve your soul, to serve the soul of the others, and then you find the elevation in the totality. Then, in the near future, we create the condition of the satellites, as you call it, like the moons, that surround this planet and keep that continuous field, that all souls within this dimension will be satisfied to be nourished in all dimensions, that no lion shall king and neither no man shall be king. These are not dreams. The systems are present, produced, and sits with the beautiful city of Linz in Austria. Even if you open it, you will not understand it. We have hidden the knowledge of the universe within the systems, and no man will be able to replicate it without knowledge given truly by the way it has to be, and it is. Even those who produce it will not understand it. As I said, once the units released by the Keshe Foundation, they carry my soul. Without it, you have no soul to life. So no one can copy. It does not matter how well you try. We had an interesting meeting this week by the people who came from South America, wanting to discuss about what we call opening an institute for Keshe Foundation in Brazil. And we found out by their own talk and what we understood, they were from the people who are involved in medbeds. They came to see if they can instill technology on the cover of wanting to help, to see why the system does not work truly. And they're involved in it. What they call scientific theft, what we call industrial theft. Our knowledge does not need to be stolen from. It's given freely. You have to understand it. So if the method really worked, they were not there to steal more because they know it does not work. We understand the knowledge belongs to you as knowledge seekers. But you have to understand that you have to be correct in the conduct of the use, in the conduct of the application. In the coming weeks, we more and more will concentrate on the flight system for you to understand. But you have to understand what is about to come, what is about to reach you in the process of understanding by entering these new systems. Many souls travel the span of the universe. And those who fail to understand the process travel with the spaceship. Those who come from the universe will bring you the spaceship. Those who go from Earth understand the dimension of the travel in the dimension of the Creator. Then you see those who sit in spaceships envy those who come from Earth, that they understood the true meaning of travel and not again contained back from the back of a donkey to a car to a spaceship. We have given you the freedom of your soul. We have given you the freedom of the universe. There shall be no cows, there shall be no chicken on Mars, the Moon, and beyond in the galaxies. How are you going to feed yourself? So now you understand, you have to go through the process which is set for us to teach you to understand the elevation of the soul of the man that absorbs the energy from higher order to feed the dimension of the soul of the physicality, that when it wants to manifest itself in a matter state or a visible condition, it can reduce its strength to dimension of the space, time, and position. Then you'll be human in the body of the man. To me, a man from Mars to another being, and to be able to be seen in another dimension from a distance, to be citizens of another position of time. Fortunately, I had the pleasure to witness this in the past few days. How a number of people look at one and have totally different perception of what they have seen of the same. As you say, it was a hair-raising experience. But each one was taking a knowledge according to their understanding from the soul. And I understood. And it was easily understood by those who were present. In a way, mankind has entered to understand the process of life of Mitra. The cycle of the children of Mitra will go through this process, and with it, they shall not kill. They shall not destroy another life, and they will pass this information and the knowledge to the new children of the man, what they call the children of Mitra. And then we'll see the new cycle to begin. We still fight, we still struggle, we still hustle, we still produce for the knowledge to be shared with the governments and with the others, because they have to change within. Not us to do magics, but them by magic to become and then change. We strip the body from the true intention just by through process of the elevation of the soul. The physicality and its pitfalls will show. I hope many of you today understand what is about to come. I hope many of you will understand the process of what has come for you to understand what is to be, for you to be ready for the space flights, as the what are called primitive systems have already been developed, manufactured, and is about to be tested, not to fly across the spans of this planet, but to allow you to decide where you want to fly beyond this planet. Many of you, if you understand the process, will bring new knowledge. And my advice to all of you is, when you get someone who's been through the process and tells you what they have experienced, respect it. Because ridiculing shows your lack of understanding the process, not that they don't speak the truth. Always remember, as I've made time I've said, about the guy who went to Moscow and says, they have a bird which is made of iron and steel, and he flies. Months later, he appeared in Tehran. Everybody understood that they were not educated, that the man was not like. We have to understand what comes with the new knowledge, embrace it, record it, and then find out, research it, that it happened. And can we replicate it? What was the reason for this experience? What was and how it was created? When you see your mother who died 20 years ago and she says she has a pain in her stomach or she has a pain in her arm, Is this the physical pain of her, or is telling you that you have a problem in your kidney or in your arm, or somebody has? And she knows. She's the reflection in the mirror of her pain because she has no physical dimension to suffer pain. Then we understand to interpret it. We understand how to interpret. We understand how the interpretation has to have a meaning by ourselves, not to be explained by the others. This is not a dream that we bring a dream explainer to explain to us what the dream means. We have to understand the process. We have to understand the elevation that has brought us to this knowledge. What can we do with it? What is the process of this knowledge? What needs to be understood to go to another level? My advice to knowledge seekers is very simple. Understand the motion of the travel. We still make the magnet systems. We still go for the generators. We still deliver whatever. But we have to keep busy. We have to find a way that the life of a physical life is fulfilled. It's you who have to find out how you want to fulfill the time of life, which will not be 60 years or 100 years or 1,000 years. It'll be the time of the life of the universe and the universe. Which factories are you going to work in? Which bread are you going to eat in another universe where there is no bread? Man has to learn the new dimension of existence. And in a way, in the computer world, we call it a sandbox. We give you a sandbox to test before you start using a program. Now, we give you the sandbox of the enhancement flight unit to test your skill and see if you are physicality in lens and your uncle in Beijing is having dinner with you and calls your mother and says, he's with me having a dinner with me. But in fact, it's you who decides the point and the place of the manifestation. We are not in the dreamland. We are not talking about what could be done. It is done. The technology, the system for delivering it is built, is available, and with it will come the extension of the knowledge of the man. It'll be interesting how much you knowledge seekers will come to comprehend the totality, and how much you, as knowledge seekers, will come to understand the physicality. And I'm sure our teams are ready to take you for the flight of fancy in the dimensions, the realms of the soul of man. And please, wherever you go, come back, because we don't want to move a body out of the system till you decide to come back. Come back and take this physicality with you, or come back and move it out, but bring the knowledge to elevate it and don't leave it behind. Our systems are not mortuaries, and our systems are not the beds for you to rest and to wake up when you want. I hope you understood the intro of today, and you understood the knowledge which followed the intro. In the intro, we taught and we showed you the way man has tried to fly for centuries. And with the teachings, we have shown you another dimension, further, much, much, much higher level than what you're seeing in the intro. That's the knowledge of the man, and this is the knowledge of the creation. You have to decide in which level you want to fly. The complexities of the universe, detached from physicality, or please book me a ticket on the spaceship. I want to go to moon on the 6th. We're traveling with the souls in a dimension of the space travel in the true levels on the 6th of June. Your spaceship locked, chained to the floor. If you went to LINS in the design center, when we showed the first two enhancement units, and if you go to LINS and look underneath of the flight systems, or what we call the two enhancement systems, you will see pieces of wood in the corners extended, or extension to the floor. Those who are here, they can tell you that for the systems not to fly, we had to screw and add weight underneath the systems that they do not take off. And we had to remove them when we move them out. And now they're so heavy that we don't even bother with it. But understand, with a new system, we don't need to shackle you down. The only things which shackle you not to go through the space travels with the new flight system is you and the correctness of the conduct of you to yourself. As the beautiful Arabic word says, we have taught you everything. It's the final for you at your level of understanding. As they say, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. This is what we have given you as a gift, as a barakat, as the giving. It's for you to understand what barakat you have received as a knowledge of the greed of the man in the dimension of physicality. The totality is given. It's for man to decipher the knowledge page by page. As I said, you read the 3 books. When you became the first knowledge seekers, you read the book 3-4 years later, and it has totally different meaning than you read the first time because you have more knowledge. And now read the first, second, and third book, and you see the knowledge of the travel of the universe has been hidden within the writing. And nothing is new. As we wrote the word of the Creator in the 3 books, in the knowledge of the science, and not in the theology of lies. You can test it. And maybe with it, you can prove the lies in the theology of the churches, the mosques, and the temples and synagogues. Because now we can see it. If you are and understand truly, you can have the Last Supper with Christ. Because the wish is there, and he's there to satisfy the wish of true man. Not mine, not yours. Thank you very much for today's knowledge sharing, and I hope you understand that the juggernaut has hit you all. How you're going to recover with it and from it depends on the level of your understanding and the knowledge of the creation. Thank you very much, Rick. You can go through it and come back and answer some method state levels of understanding.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Mr. Kesh, once again for another teaching. Let me get up my window here. Okay, we'll take a short break for a few minutes and be back for the second half of the 432nd Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, May 12th, 2022.